Here the European Union is hesitating and does not know how to better justify the theft of Russian assets. The only thing that European officials have dared to do so far is they decided to use the profits received from Russian assets, but they can't decide on more yet. No, they are not at all afraid that Russia will file a lawsuit in their own world's most fair international court in The Hague. They are afraid that by such obvious lawlessness they will cause irreparable damage to the rules-based financial system they have created. And the rules of the global financial system they created are such that the central banks of second-class countries in securing their currencies are forced to accumulate dollars, pounds, and euros in their gold and foreign exchange reserves, and not in the form of bags stuffed with paper bills, but in cashless form on accounts in European and American banks, as well as invest them in reliable assets countries of the golden billion, while receiving interest. Therefore, even though the Americans crossed this line by withdrawing a tiny part of our assets, which they have about $4 to $5 billion, because they no longer care about anything, respected countries have already stopped buying back their debt securities in the required volumes. The Europeans are still thinking about a legally verified formula that will allow them to withdraw Russian assets in the amount of much more, about $300 billion, and at the same time not give reason to doubt their decency and commitment to the law, so that the countries classified by Giuseppe Borrell as jungles would not be nervous and continue to trade for euros and invest in their assets. And the other day, our president decided to send another unpleasant message translated into Russian about a flop with a Western partner, showing that this game can be played together. He signed a decree on the transfer of Gazprom household systems of the Russian subsidiaries of Arestin and BHS Hoskern to temporary management. Subsidiaries of BSH are Bosch and Siemens. A little earlier, in early April, Putin by his decree transferred to the Federal Agency for State Property Management the agricultural company Agroterra, which produces seeds of wheat, soybeans, hybrids, sunflower, and corn, which was owned by a Dutch holding company. Last year, if you remember, he made the same decision regarding the assets of the French company Danone and the Danish Carlsberg. But in March, he signed an agreement on the exchange of the transfer of Danone assets to the Federal Property Management Agency. Thus, the shares of Danone Russia JSC will be returned to the firms. Why he returned the shares of this company is not officially reported. As Dmitry Peskov noted, this decision on Danone is related to such expediency, and we will not give any other comments. However, let's recall the reasons voiced by Putin for which external management of Danone assets was introduced. Let's quote it. And the fact that it was due to the fact that the management of these companies Danone and Carlsberg are trying to put pressure on Russian citizens, their employees, intimidating them with possible dismissal in case they show a certain civic position. Thus, the introduction of external management was necessary in order to prevent material damage to Russia by reducing employees and reducing production volumes of this company until the complete cessation of its activities. Well, the return of Danone shares indicates that either this company will work as before, or it will be forced to make a deal and sell its business in Russia. According to the Financial Times newspaper, the French company wanted to sell its Russian asset to Vamen Tatarstan for 17.7 billion rubles. Note that the value of assets of Danone Russia JSC for 2021 in the reporting amounted to 56 billion rubles, that is 3.2 times more. That is, if everything happens like this, it turns out that the company will be bought out almost for nothing, as Iskander Zygangariv, CEO of KZHK Logistics, said in an interview with Business Online. That is, without waiting for the confiscation of our assets, we are already forcing them to sell their business in Russia at a large discount, either permanently or for a symbolic amount to Russian management with a repurchase option. Just another well-known company, NOF, announced the transfer of the Russian business to local management. It will probably be a deal worth 1 ruble, but, again, with a repurchase option. That is, this company hopes that when Europe's relations with Russia normalize, they will be able to buy back their production facilities for the same ruble. However, there is a caveat. If Russian assets located in Europe are still seized, then our president will have 2 options for action. First, he can impose a ban on repurchase and then either nationalize all the factories to us in Russia or offer the new Russian owners to pay an equivalent fee to the Russian budget for them. Second, the Russian state will write a check to the former owners of the NOF company, with which they will be able to contact those banks where sovereign Russian assets were stored and demand that they pay this check. And in case of refusal, let them appeal to the Fair International Court of Justice in The Hague. We are wondering how soon any of these actions will be taken against the former American fast food restaurants Yummy Point, which were also bought out by Russian businessman Alexander Gover with a repurchase option, or they will remain Yummy Points forever. I think it's about time. Well, The funny thing is that they confiscate money from us that the central bank previously sterilized in gold reserves in accordance with the currency board system. That is, the Bank of Russia bought this currency for printed rubles and injected the ruble mass into the Russian economy. This means that these foreign exchange reserves have already fulfilled their role and contributed to the development of our economy at that time and in the global financial system in which we were then and had to play by their rules. At that time, the Russian government could not use these foreign exchange reserves to buy goods on the world market or for any other purpose. That is, our central bank, having bought their currency on the MICEX, in this way reduced the volume of dollars and euros in the world. And now they themselves want to unfreeze this money, which will increase this already overgrown mass of dollars and euros, injecting extra money into the global economy. This is almost equivalent to the fact that they would just print them, but we will earn this money for the second time, because we will get real working production facilities with real latest Western equipment for them.